Here we go. It's time for the podcast. Whoa, Kackis, stop, please, Kackis. That's enough. Change that camera. This is the RGH podcast. That does not look very real gamer of you. This is the RGH podcast. Every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, we come here, we talk about all things gaming. I cut off Kackis 24/7 because he cuts off Ryan 24/7. It's a fun, good, hot gamer moment. I've got two hot dudes. I'm excited. I'm Mtashed. Who are you guys?
I am KackisHD.
Nice. And do we even need to introduce this beauty down below? Probably not.
Yeah, Ryan muted himself. I can't hear him.
Ryan? Hello? Okay, no.
My apologies.
Okay.
I'm sure Vanguard.
Yay!
Yeah. I knew.
As we can I just say, like, as we see Ryan, True Vanguard, already hitting the sauce, doesn't even remember to unpress mute. As you can see, I'm supporting my boy. I'm wearing a Facebook gaming shirt, and to be a proper, from what I've seen of Facebook gamers, aka what I've seen from True Vanguard, I have a little some. I made a little martini.
What the hell? I got a bottle of water. It's not even cold. It's lukewarm. And you guys got nice
water. What are you, 12?
Martini. We straight sipping, boys. Ooh, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Let me tell you.
Man, Kackis, can you turn your audio up just a touch? Apparently, Rick, you're a little bit low. Just a little touch. All right. So we got some topics today.
Up, baby.
Now he's up. We want to talk about the Destiny stuff first. I think it's important. The raid, pretty fire, but there was a little bit of drama this weekend in the community. I think I saw 550 tweets about the raid. Some good, some bad. Let's start with the good. Fair?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, let's start with the good.
So this raid was
go.
it was a really cool raid because of the journey that it takes you on as a player. Because in previous raids, I don't think they've covered as much ground, like physically, as this raid has. Is it safe to talk about what happens in the raid at this point?
Yeah.
Are we beyond spoiler stuff?
We're beyond it.
This raid is going to take you underground and then into orbit and then crashing down from orbit in a fiery debris of the space station back down to the ground where you're going to have a final encounter on ground level. It is just so dynamic. And I absolutely loved it.
I totally agree.
Oh gosh.
Now you're kind of loud, I think.
All right. Yeah. Can we just talk about the fact that this raid was, I think, an excellent raid? Like, using the drop pod, going up to space was quite the experience. Like, you're like, oh, going to space. Yeah, very cool. Like, you start at the beginning, and then that's where the spaceship crashes into, and then at the end you go out, and it's the same area, but it's like now it's debris everywhere. You've crashed. And one of the best parts by far of the raid is the loot. And I did a video on this today, like showcasing some of the loot is capable of. But oh my god, we haven't seen good raid loot like this since like Destiny 1. We're talking like Vault of Glass, Coda's End, Wrath of the Machine. D2 loot, raid loot has kind of slipped a little bit. It hasn't usually been this special, but we've got completely unique perks that only can spawn on this raid loot. The best one being this the reconstruction perk where, it'll overflow your magazine up to double, so you have slug shotguns, which are already super meta, and now they can have 14 rounds in a magazine, which is literally double what you're used to. So the desirability of this raid loot is insane. And if that wasn't enough, when you finish the raid, you can actually get a little vendor and you can buy, using your spoils of war from doing the raid, you can buy some specific raid loot. So you won't get screwed by RNG that much, right? That was one of the biggest things. Hey, I'm looking for the supremacy when you're playing Last Wish. You can play it again and again and not get one. Now you can guarantee that drop, which is fantastic.
Well,
yeah, it's so nice.
It felt like before it was like only tokens, but now there's a nice balance. You get drops through the raid and then you can do it. But also, I don't know if all the raids do this, but I believe Garden, you can't get weapons from the chests. In this one, you can. So like, if you're doing the raid, you can
get weapons.
The hidden chest, you mean?
The hidden chest, I mean, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Which is amazing because then it's like you can go in, you get another couple chances of getting some of these weapons, get more rolls. It feels very rewarding to do. And, as you're saying, loot from raids has been trash. Now, back at the start of Destiny, the first raid...
Sorry to interrupt, but not to say that there wasn't good raid loot. There was usually... the Sacred Providence Scout Rifle or Pulse Rifle. I think you did a video like with the rapid hit plus kill clip. Good weapon, but is it special? It's just a normal pulse rifle. We have this archetype. We have these perks. It didn't stand out, and it's not that they weren't good. It's that they weren't unique.
Right. Yeah. And see, like in the first raid, the Midnight Coup was probably one of the best, if not best, PvE weapons in the game, and it was also incredible in PvP. So it's like they had the Midnight Coup, there was a good sniper, like they did have some options. And then the next couple raids, there might be one where it's like, okay, but even Garden, like that pulse rifle was like, it's solid with that particular role. Hand cannon, mid to bottom tier, right? The fusion rifle, trash tier. Well, you can make it work, but there's a bow, like nothing was good. But the other thing too is a lot of the armor perks I found, even the raid specific perks, they're fine, a little bit uninteresting. This one, bro, they're bangers. It's like when you've got the scanner or the operator perks, you get a big buff, and then if you don't, you get maybe even a bigger buff, right? You're picking up orbs, you're getting heavy.
You're gonna have bottomless heavy, dude. But literally
it's
bottomless
insanity.
heavy.
It makes me feel powerful. And I really like it. It's the first time I've actually cared about raid loot in years. And it's nice. And if they can double down on the Vault of Glass down the road, oh, boys, we're going to be swimming in loot. Things to chase, the sniper, fire. Shoddy, cool. Hand cannon, wicked.
The shotgun is the best PvE weapon in the game, potentially. If you get like the recombination plus, it's insane. And to your point, not only that, it has a really good raid exotic to chase. That rocket launcher is dirty. Arguably the best rocket launcher in the game, period. I've seen some PvP clips from this absolute monster down there.
It's so fun.
True Vanguard making people quit forever on PvP. And I was playing Gambit just before this to get my pinnacle, and I had a teammate who had it invading. Dude, oh my God.
What's so cool about it is it keeps its lock on something. So if you aim down sights and you lock on a target, and then you can turn 180 degrees, lock on a different target, lock on a different target, and then you release. I would just like launch it into the air and release that volley, and they split. I had quads today, triples and quads for days. So cool.
Yeah. Like in my video I put out, you can do some cool tricks where you like zoom down sights really quickly on a boss and unaimed down sights, so you only lock onto the boss. The cool thing is it fires like the same amount of rockets every time. Whether you lock onto 4 guys or 1 guy, it's going to fire those same rockets. So you can like DPS a certain boss or
a super.
Yeah. So man, it is something else. Like that is we're talking anarchy level desirable, which is so cool. That's what it needs. Like, we don't need get the Teraba out of here. This is what we need.
Hey, don't knock on my boy. I love that.
Yeah, dude. If it kept its freaking buff after swapping, it would have been completely changed. But as a stat,
and think of it this way too, though, is like that rocket launcher also can be used at a range, like a very good range. So if you look at like the Garden boss, Anarchy, pretty trash, but it's giving us another tool. It's giving us another weapon that we can use, and even in some other encounters, if you're looking at what's the Kali, little head hitbox, they move around a little bit. Maybe you miss an Anarchy shot. Maybe you miss a snipe on the head. If you're using Whisper of the Worm, it might be a little bit trickier. I feel like this is kind of you're gonna hit, right? Because they're tracking like crazy. It's a very safe DPS.
There's a question about its true damage output. Will it be the next boss melting machine? It certainly has good burst DPS, but in the long run, we'll kind of see. But undoubtedly, this is one of the best ad clearing and like major killing weapons I've ever seen. And again, certain like PvP and especially Gambit, this thing could become a real force in the meta. So loot wise, Bungie hit it out of the park. Like it's fantastic.
Have you tried it in the Nightfalls yet? I feel like it'd be really good in the Nightfalls with the just taking out like champions and stuff.
I don't have it yet. Because my RNG has been I don't even have a shotgun with reconstruction, dude. My RNG has been terrible. It's like, yo, do you want moving target? I'm like, no, dude, get this trash out of here.
Yeah, but what's so cool about it is that you can just continue to farm the raid, get your raid currency, get to the final chest, and just say, I want to buy the shotgun. I'm just gonna
again and again.
I did that a number of times this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to.
Now I wanted to ask. So for me, I thought this was one of the best raids ever. Mechanically, I thought it was one of the most fun ever. And some people really disagree with that, but I loved the feeling of the different roles and how valuable those roles felt. I honestly would place this raid in my top 2 to 3 right now. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many other people feel that way, but I thought that this one was really special. I think it's very well thought out. I thought that the mechanics were just like interesting and fun for me. And
Yeah.
there was no point in the raid personally where I was like, I hate this mechanic. Garden hated the mechanic. Absolutely didn't like it.
Oh my God, yeah.
There was some stuff in the Callus raid where I was like, I'll do it, but I didn't love it. And Taken King, the King's Fall, 2 of those fights, the one with the jumping, like the last 2 fights, despised them. Absolutely
Oh, yeah.
despised them. They were some of the least enjoyable mechanics I've ever seen in a raid.
Mhm.
And I know that not everyone agrees with that, but I like literally that raid is like down here for me. And so I know that my views on raids are definitely warped. I view different encounters weird. So I wanted to know your thoughts. Do you guys think that this is a really well made raid, like a really cool raid?
Yeah, I definitely do. The one caveat that really ruined my like day one raid experience, like not like I still did it day one, but like the thing that I got so many anteater errors, like I'm talking 10 plus anteater errors. Like I felt so bad for my group. Like it was we had such a solid group, but like so many runs were ruined because of
Yeah,
my
that's
stupid,
rough.
and I'm still getting anteater errors. Like I don't know what it is. I don't think it's my internet. I've reset it a million times. I know other people who weren't getting any anteater errors up until this DLC came out. And the reason I mention it is because this DLC has introduced a smorgasbord of errors. Like I know a lot of
Sure.
people, their error codes have really gone through the roof when Beyond Light came out. And so, yes, the raid is fantastic, but Bungie's really got to get on top of that stuff because, like, you know, the raid could be the best raid ever, but if you're getting kicked, and for my case, it would kick you and then reload me with like no ammo. So it's like,
Yeah.
time to go into the damage phase with only primary. Like, can't wait.
Yeah, and Mike, to answer your question, in terms of like the mechanics of this raid, I was a huge fan of the way that they executed it because it's not the first time that we've seen roles implemented into the raid mechanics. We've seen it before. You know, every team for Crota's End probably had their I am the sword guy. He's the sword guy. His job is to take the sword up there and hit Crota. We all do, you know, and it's like, but it's the same guy every time. This one, it actually forces role swapping. And I loved that mechanic because a lot of the encounters actually have this thing where it will actually deactivate your augment after a certain phase is completed. So randomly one person, even if I'm like, I'm always operator, I'm always the suppressor guy, I might get forced to say, I have to take a timeout. I've
Yeah.
got to let somebody else wear that hat for now. And so everybody has to sort of get comfortable with the roles and know what they have to do.
Mhm.
Because even just one of the people with an augment going down could change the dynamics of that fight entirely. Because someone has to know, all right, what am I going to prioritize? Am I going to prioritize the revive? Am I going to pick up the augment instead? Am I going to pick up the nuclear core instead? Like, you have to know the intricate details about how all of these roles play out. And so it's been really fun for our raid group to sort of find our initial, okay, I'm always going to start as operator. Right? Everybody falls into their initial roles. But every encounter plays out a little bit different just because of the randomization of whose augment is going to get disabled and when. I wear every hat at some point in time during that raid. And I absolutely love it. So the roles aren't quite set in stone. It forces everyone to sort of understand the mechanics. I really like that aspect. It kind of amplified the teamwork aspect of the raid for me.
Do you want
So
to
the
know?
ra-
Do you want to know
Go ahead.
why I like that part of it even more, though? It's
Why?
because you can actually place the augments in the slot, and there's dedicated spots. And for whatever reason, with some of the other raids, it's like, okay, someone else has to pick up the shield to cleanse everybody, or else we wipe. And you know, maybe you're fighting a Minotaur, maybe you're trying to stay alive, and it's like you're the closest guy, you gotta get it, right? Like if you don't pick that up, we lose. And I felt with this one, even though there were panic situations where you got to get that scanner or we lose, I felt that there was, because it's around the map in multiple spots, it gives you opportunities for counterplay to these situations. You know what I mean?
That wherever you are, wherever I'm pointing to, that goes. I've been saying for years, my favorite raids. I still think Vault of Glass is up there near number one, and the reason being is because you can clutch, and you
Yes.
in this raid it feels like you can clutch, especially like here's one of the biggest things. If your scanner dies, he drops this, like, for example, he drops the scanner perk. Someone else can pick it up, clutch that like damage phase, save the wipe, save everything, and then go for the revive after Resm. So it gives those like clutch moments where you're able to overcome. Whereas a lot of raids, King's Fall is the example that gets the most love from people, but looking back, I didn't enjoy that much because what is that raid all about? King's Fall is memorization. So people who are good at speed running, those type of people, they love that because they just get 6 people who everyone knows what they're doing and they memorize it and they execute. And that's certainly like a skill. And I'm not taking away from that, but like that for me, I like being able to bring it back from the brink when things go wrong. That's what I think is like a good mechanics and a good encounter. And this raid really lets you do that. Phenomenal.
And
But
to speak to that point,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, to speak to that point, literally last night we had one of our teammates went from like the guy that we're all like berating, like, what are you thinking, to like he's the hero because on the A tracks he forgot to send pods down, so we had no pods. It was me and Hovey. KJ Hovey are down the bottom. We clear everything, and we're like, we need to come back up for the final, the last stand where Atrax is teleporting all over to which one he's at, right? And so we had no pods, so 2 of us are trapped downstairs. He's up top. He screws up cleansing somebody of the debuff, and so he goes down. 2 of the other teammates get catapulted into a wall by a stomp mechanic, so he's now the last guy up, and we're like, what are you doing? You literally got 3 of us killed. And we're like, we resigned ourselves to wiping. But in the chaos of his screw up, he runs over, he swaps it, he deposits his operator buff, grabs the scanner buff, and soloed the last stand mechanic. And he jumped. We watched him. All of us just watching him go from boss to boss with the lament, and he clutched it up.
No way.
And so he went from like, oh, you suck, to you're the hero. It was just so cool to see a clutch moment again in a raid.
Yeah. Thank God. So this raid, we've said phenomenal loot, like actual really desirable loot, a way to actually farm that loot, great mechanics. But apparently some people think it was too easy and just handing out those emblems. So that caused a lot of drama. Now to explain it quickly, some members of the community, I won't say who, just kidding, it's Glad, and I think Gigs, I don't know, some very, very good players. And we like these people. We're not hating on them, but they came out with the opinion that, hey, quite a lot of people finished this raid day 1. And in fairness to them, they are correct compared to some of the past raids, especially, Last Wish only had 2 people finish day 1, and Garden had like 96 teams, very low amounts of teams. Compared to that, a lot more people than that did finish this time day 1. And they were saying, is this raid a little bit too easy? Should Bungie have gone a little bit harder and made this a little bit more exclusive? What do you guys think?
Well,
no.
Do you want to give your opinion first, like the full opinion?
I can give my opinion.
I'm talking about this guy right here because he gave me a no.
Sure,
But
Vanguard, go ahead.
Sure, I'll lay it out for you. Here's how I feel about it, right? There's a lot of factors at play here, including preparation time, including the fact that a lot of these raids that had low clears were before contest modifier was introduced. Okay, so that's a factor. There were times when the raid came out just days after the new content dropped. So people who were really focused on the raid were grinding, just not sleeping, grinding, getting that power level up so that they could compete. So it was so unapproachable for most of the raids that we've had. Almost all the raids we've had so far had no contest modifier active. So it was a real challenge for teams to get prepared, and they had less time to do it. This time, contest modifier is there, a week and a half to prep, a much more easy and relaxed leveling system. So almost everybody who plays the game regularly could easily be 1230, which was where the contest modifier was. So a lot more teams were able to participate. That is a factor. But at the end of the day, one of the things that I feel very, very strongly as far as Destiny is concerned is I want Destiny's best content to be approachable for players, because it's a real shame to have something this incredible be locked away behind a skill barrier and have so many people, so many Destiny players not be able to interact with it for one reason or another. I don't want it to be so hard that it's unapproachable and daunting. I want this activity to be experienced by the masses. And I think it's a really easy compromise. Frankly, I don't understand why this blew up as big as it did. I don't think that it was worth all the drama this week. very, very simple solution to this problem is, hey, here's some feedback. We would love to have contest modifier to be a difficulty that we can select when we go in, because we are elite gamers. We're in the upper echelon of PvEers. We would like to have that as an option to select it and to go in with that modifier to make it a challenge for us for some, I don't know, adept range weapons, double the spoils.
Easy.
Maybe a guaranteed no armor that drops will have under 60 stat points allocated to it. Higher stat rolls. I don't know, however you want to incentivize it, but give them that option. But also make sure the raid is approachable for people who might see it as daunting. I want the content to be experienced.
Well, here's the thing too, though, is if you look at Last Wish, it's like 2 teams beat it, right? Obviously, you don't want it that at that end, but at the same time, people weren't wiping on that raid because it was necessarily like extreme sorry, I shouldn't say that. I should say a lot of people were wiping to dumb stuff. So one Scion, you go to melee the Scion or the taken enemy, you go to melee it, and then it melees you and kills you because it had like 2 HP. In this case, we are stronger than we've ever been. I've got Protective Light that allowed me to tank a captain. I've got mods for AoE clear. Like, I'm way stronger. So obviously we're gonna complete the raid easier. But also, I feel like if you're gonna lose, at this point, you're losing more to not understanding the mechanics. So you can learn mechanics, and that's great. But I feel like I could take on the enemies, and I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing.
I think that that's their point. A lot of their point is like, with all these mods, you're a lot easier. Like Protective Light gives you an insane survivability bonus and if you have like 2 concussive dampener, I believe it's called, on your chest piece, it's like a 50% reduction in splash damage. Like, these are some insane values that we really haven't had before. And so I think part of the point is that, like, hey, maybe dial that back a bit, or make contest mode even harder if you're going to give us this power. But I think personally, that's a bit of a bad take. If you look, the Raid Report actually released the statistics, and only about 2%, 2 point something percent of people who attempted a day one actually completed it. So 97.5% of people who tried to beat it day one were not able to. That's still a pretty significant fail rate. So it's still like a pretty elite group of people were able to beat it. Now, were you able to be a little bit more powerful? Absolutely. Warmind cells and Charge with Light made it so that, like, if we had access to those things when we did Garden, would have been a lot easier, right? But it's part of those things. We've been playing Destiny 2. We're on our 4th year. Could you imagine if I told you guys that it's another new raid and you're not any more powerful than you were in the previous raid? Like, 4 years, you don't get a single bit more powerful? Are you serious? Like, that's such a bad scenario. And so people who are saying that we're too powerful now, it's like, what would you rather have? That these builds not matter? That years of collecting the best gear and the best mods don't matter? So it's like, if you're mad that more people are beating it, glad your teammates giving out videos on exactly what builds to use in the raid, bro. Yeah. like what do you expect? You're like, people are also just, they know more. People have been playing more. Like, it's 4 years. People are used to this. And also, I'll say, part of the reason the percentage was so high is because this was one of the, aside from the error codes, this is one of the least glitchy raids ever. We did Garden together. How many times are our runs ruined because moats fell off the map? Like, dozens.
Or the floor is bugged. Is it there or is it not there?
Yeah. Runs were ruined when we were literally had enough DPS to win, but a moat would go under the ground. I remember getting, like, looking at it under the ground and being, are you kidding me, Bungie? Like, you screwed us. So it's like, so there's always these caveats. Like, Garden was ruined because of the glitches. Like, so I think a whole extra percent of people would have been able to beat it if it was always the Minotaur encounter. You guys know what I'm talking about, where it drops 18, so you won't be screwed, right? And then there's something like Scourge of the Past. Scourge of the Past was when people saved up all the bounties and they could get to the literal cap. So it's like, no crap, you beat it right away. You literally played 24 hours a day for 3 weeks to get every single powerful gear bounty to level up to, like, the absolute max right away. And then Scourge of the Past was 6 hours after the raid came out. So if you
it was like an hour and a half. It was like an hour and a half. It was that fast.
Well,
or 2.5.
No, 6 hours after launch, the raid came out.
Oh, sorry. No. Sorry. Yes.
6 hours to level up Scourge.
Sorry.
No, sorry, not Scourge. Crown. My bad. Crown was 6 hours after launch. So like, no crap, the percentage is low on there, because if you're working Tuesday, you're screwed. Like, you're
You're
out of the
done.
competition.
Yeah.
It's literally just a streamer competition at that point.
Right.
So there's always this, usually there's like this big caveat as a really legitimate reason why people didn't play. And so now you take all those caveats away and you just say, hey, you actually have time to prep. Like, it's not necessarily easier. It's just, I think overall it's just a better experience. And like, we should be expecting, it's the 4th year, people are getting used to this. We should be expecting the percentage to go up and up and up and up.
Here's the thing:
But-
is the percentage of players are going up, and like, I don't even know if it's necessarily like, hey, we don't want you to finish the raid. I think that these are all top tier PvE players, and they're like, I'm not really dying to anything. Like, we don't understand the mechanics, but as soon as we do, you know, I think that for them, if they would have just looked at the critique that they were giving, they should have given the critique that, like, we want it harder for us. You know, we
Right.
want to feel a little bit more challenged there, and I get it, but I don't think it is a bad thing that more people are completing it. I think
Right.
that it is a learnable raid. I think it's a raid that if you want to carry and do a lot of the roles, you can, and you can teach people, and I think that that's a really valuable thing. And I think that, you know, the raids are some of the best content in the game ever. In any game, I think it's incredible content. And so it needs to be a little bit more accessible. And, you know, the raid race doesn't lose value if you're really powerful and you don't feel challenged, because you're still competing against a bunch of other amazing people. So you need to min-max those builds. You're still racing. You're still trying to figure it out. I think that that value of the raid race is still intact, but now just a bunch more people get to enjoy playing it and beating it.
Yeah, there's a bunch more like viable teams. Like, before, it was only a few teams who ever really even had a
That
chance.
you kept
And
your
now
eyes on, yeah.
there's so many more clans. Like, you know, there's Silumar, there's freaking the people who beat it. What is there? Obtained did pretty well. There's our clan Rough did place like pretty well. Like, there's so many clans that have cracked players. And it's not just the two teams competing. It's not just like tier 1 and Redeemed competing for like number 1 anymore. They have a lot more competition, and they should expect as much, just because not only is it like a little bit more accessible, but like a lot more people have gotten into streaming and whatever, and are able to dedicate that time in order to get the best gear and to level up in time. So like, there's going to be consistently more and more people trying to beat this content this was, I think, the second most competed against. There's like 270,000 people that tried to day one this raid, compared to Garden that had like 100,000. Like, it's not even close. This blew Garden out of the water.
Mm-hmm. No,
Like,
exactly.
it's insane how many more people were interested. And like, from a content creator perspective, that's great, because I'm telling you, when
Wow.
King's Fall came out and I put out like the guide on how to beat it, it didn't do that well at first, because no one cared, because everyone looked at the raid, looked at the power cap, and was like, screw that.
That ain't for me.
So many people didn't even bother. But now you have everyone like is in there, like going for it, right? Like, the community buzz was it's so much healthier for the game overall. Like, it's definitely not easy. It's definitely easier. But again, your power is just going to naturally going up after 4 years of collecting the best stuff.
Yeah.
And I
But
know. Sorry, you go.
I don't want to sound unsympathetic, though. I think it is really important that I know a lot of the community had a knee-jerk reaction to the tweets by Glad, by Gigs, by these top-tier PvEers. They called them out of touch. They called them elitists. But I think it's really important when people are venting, it's really important to try and understand what's the heart of the issue there, instead of having knee-jerk reaction. I mean, it's okay to call them out if you think they're wrong about something, but at the same time, at the heart of what they're saying is something that I think is worth addressing. And that's that these top tier PvEers do need to find something that is going to push them to their limits in Destiny, that's going to really challenge them in Destiny. And while they could have worded things differently, or maybe they came at that argument from maybe the wrong angle, I think there's truth to what they're saying. And I do want those people to find value in the game, something that's going to really push them and their team to the limits. Because right now, really all they have, once they get through contest modifier, what do? They go straight to, can we do this with 3 people?
Yeah.
Can we do this encounter with 2 people? I think it's important that they do need to be heard, and their feedback does need to be
The
valued.
legit point I think they do had, that I will, again, like, in the grand scheme of things, overwhelmingly, I think this was a healthy thing, is my point. But I think the one point that is pretty hard to deny is that the enemies in this raid were easier to deal with, in the sense that they didn't have a lot of hard enemies. There was like no sniper enemies at all. in that raid. Like, and if there was, it would have made it a lot more challenging. You would have had to like think and be on top of those enemies. But as it was now, you know, it was kind of easy to avoid a lot of the enemies. And so at that point, it was kind of like, yeah, you know what, Bungie, you at certain other raids, you definitely had to be on it a little bit more than this raid in terms of countering certain enemies.
Yep. No, absolutely. And you know, the thing is with that, with the enemies, at the same time, you know, it doesn't even have to be that. They could add like environmental factors. Like maybe when the nukes are going into those different containers, like maybe they give off like a heat AoE or something like that. Like there's different ways they can add difficulty that isn't just give me a big beefy enemy. Environmental hazards, or we're blocking off part of the team from part of the room. Like there's a lot of things they can do, and I just hope that Bungie keeps getting creative, and I just don't want them to throw a bunch of yellow bars that are just
honestly,
bullet sponges. I hate bullet sponges.
Bullet sponges are dumb, and being one shot by everything is not fun. Like it's just not fun. And it's just like, it's like too bad. Like it's like if you really want to challenge yourself, go 2-man it. No one's stopping you, and that is like the next level challenge. But you have this piece of like raiding is the PvE endgame. It really is. Like it should be a certain degree accessible. It was just kind of a an interesting take. At the end of the day, I think we're more powerful, and we should expect to be. Like, could you imagine if all those mods you collected didn't do anything, and the raid was, and just as many people completed this as Garden, but now you have all these Warmind cell builds and stuff. So you're telling me Warmind cell builds wouldn't matter? Like that would have been bad. Honestly, right. Like that would have been not good.
And to build on that, in a game like RuneScape, usually when like a new dungeon or like a new boss comes out, they have like better stuff. And I understand power creep is an issue, because if you keep doing that, eventually everything below it is useless. And, we've had to get rid of the Recluse, and we're getting rid of the Revoker, and the Mountaintop's going away, and they've tried to sunset things. But at the same time, you can't just laterally progress always. Because I feel like every Legendary I've got for the last 3 years is the same. Like, I just don't care. Now, these raid ones, I'm like, okay, I'm seeing some interesting stuff, right? I'm getting interested, and maybe it's not like cracked and like overall 10 times better, but it's giving me some different options. I don't have to think about reload as much now, or maybe I've got some extra burst DPS or whatever it is. And we do need to progress that way. And one of the things I did like is when I was going into this world first raid, I was like, all right, do I want to clear enemies with Warmind cells, or do I want to have better boss DPS? Do I want to be more defensive or offensive? And I did have options, and it was actually one of the first times in Destiny where I was like, I actually care about my armor. Because I didn't before, until the raid race happened. I mean, I had Protective Light, I had Warmind cells, and I use them for things here and there. But for the most part, I have been uninterested in gear forever. And so this was the first time where I looked at it, I made a build, and I'm like, okay, this is my build. I'm feeling good about it. This is going to help me to win. And we have to progress as Guardians. We have to make things interesting, or else everyone's going to get bored. You can't give everyone an Outlaw Rampage hand cannon for 4 years straight and be like, all right, there you go. There's your kit.
You got it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a good point. But I think it's time to move on to Nintendo absolutely being the biggest papagas on the on the gaming market, dude. I think Tash, you're the one who kind of knows a lot about this. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, unfortunately, Nintendo isn't a great company. Luckily, we're sponsored by one, though. Advanced GG. Before we get into Nintendo, let's talk about Advanced GG. They have been sponsoring us since the start. If you guys need an amazing energy formula, that's what it is at this point. It is a formula for success. If you're studying, if you're gaming, right? You got to get all these raid guides. You got to watch Kackis's videos. Maybe True Vanguard's got to stream, and you want to stay up and alert to not miss a moment. Advanced.gg. They've got a bunch of amazing flavors. And guess what? We've got a 10% discount code. If you use code RGH, you get 10% off and you support the podcast. So look at this. Advanced.gg. It's right there. Go there. Copy and paste it. Follow the link and get your favorite drink. Okay, that's it. Thank you. Now, Nintendo. Into Nintendo. We talked about it last episode, how they have had some pretty sus community interactions and viewership on content creators. It has been a chore to make content on Nintendo games for a long time. There was a point where you needed Kackis camera. Oh, we're good. Okay, there we go.
You disconnected me. I was completely frozen. So I had to dip for a bit.
And he's back.
And show Glad the error of his ways and come back. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yo, so listen, Nintendo, for a long time, you had to be in like a partner program to even make money. They would just like flag your stuff if you weren't in the program. And so they created this program, and like that was a workaround, but still pretty brutal. And then they even opened it up a little further and things were good. But recently they said, you know what? We don't want you making content on our games. If you're making content on our games, you cannot monetize it. And if you do, we're striking that down. We're smiting that. Well, they have doubled down and they've actually gone further now. They've said, oh, you want to make a community? You want to do fun things with our games? No. So there's the Big House Super Smash Bros. Melee tournaments, right? This is Melee tournaments. This is on a 20-year-old game, and they're doing them online.
Well, Super Smash Bros. Is let's just say this, it's a huge community.
Yes.
Huge.
It's like it's one of the biggest esports.
When they have tourneys, it's like massive.
Yeah. Average viewership of those tournaments is insane. It is more popular than the current Smash Bros. By a long shot. And
is it really?
Oh yeah. Oh, it's not even competition. Melee is bigger than Ultimate.
So like when there's a big Melee tournament, like how many viewers do they get on Twitch?
It depends like who's hosting and who's playing. Because like Mango is really popular, so if Mango's in the final, like it's gonna get more viewership.
Okay,
and stuff
but like
that,
we're talking like hundreds of thousands of people.
I wouldn't say it's that big because it is still a bit of a niche community. But still,
like this is a big part of the Nintendo community.
And you know the thing is, it's a game that isn't sold anymore. So it's not like they're missing out on sales if people are emulating the game. They're not missing out on sales if people are making tournaments on the game. If anything, they're showing how good Super Smash Bros. Is. And people are going to be like, oh man, that game looks really fun. I'm going to check that out. And I'm going to get the new version because that's the only one available. And the unfortunate thing is Big House is running an online tournament because the online servers for Nintendo are trash. And they did use a third-party program called Slippy. Now, Slippy allows them to emulate the game as well as host matches on these emulations. It's like it's an engineering marvel. It's really cool how they do it. But because it's a third-party program, because it's not official hardware, they essentially said, nope, you can't do that. Now, the funny thing is Ryan was bringing it up, is they said, well, we're doing it anyways. Like this is a huge tournament. We're not gonna turn down all this money. We've got all these people signed up. Like we're gonna do it. And so Nintendo hits them with the legal. They're like, no, you aren't doing it. Trust us. And so they actually
forced their hand.
Yeah, they forced their hand.
They get a phone call that just says viewer ID from Japan. They're like, what the hell's going on? Picking up it's the lawyers, Nintendo lawyers.
It's me, Mario, and you're done.
It's me, legal department, and you're like, oh god. But like, dude, just like that was a great explanation. But just think about this for a second, right? Like, they want to host a Smash Bros. Tournament. This is a huge community. They love this game so much. They're hosting these big tournaments. There's an entire community built around this, right? Like streamers who make their living, multiple streamers make their living because they're known as competitive smashers, right? Mm-hmm. Nintendo Online is so bad that they have to create their own program just to play each other in a fair way because the servers were like it couldn't be possible. So they do that, and Nintendo goes and shuts them down. That is savage.
On top of that, though, it's like you can't play Melee online anymore. Like there isn't even a server available. So it's like, what are we? It's not like we're circumventing some Nintendo online membership. We're not circumventing some system. It's not like we created Xbox Live 2 to play Halo. We're playing an old game. We're trying to have some fun and do some memes. Who is that hurting? Apparently Nintendo. Apparently this is crippling their business. And it's just like thing after thing now. They are predatory against their own content. Like it's weird.
Yeah, the Animal Crossing thing. They're like, or Stardew Valley or whatever, or Animal Crossing. They're like, Animal Crossing. They're like, hey, you cannot make money from Animal Crossing now, and this includes revenue from advertising. So anyone making Animal Crossing content, your channel just died overnight because Nintendo was like, hey, this community that you've fostered, all these people that you've kept interest in the game, all these people that you've encouraged to buy the game, somehow that hurts us. So now we're going after you. It's like, Nintendo, do you live under a rock? Like, are you afraid of tech? Do you know what technology is? Like, do they make these games and just like, they don't even know what happens after that?
Right.
Like, it's crazy, dude.
And you know, it's interesting is I know for a fact watching videos in a game has led me to play the game. I didn't know what Dark Souls was back in the day, and I watched someone playing Dark Souls and I was like, what the hell? Went out and bought it myself. And you know, NBA 2K, whatever the new one is, my son has never played that, but he watches a YouTuber. Guess what he wants for Christmas? He wants that game. He's never played an NBA game ever, but watching it, he was like, this looks really cool, and you can make your character have different stats and customization. And so, you know, especially in the case of Animal Crossing, there's probably a ton of people that own a Nintendo Switch, and they've never played any of the Animal Crossing games ever. They watch a YouTube video, they watch a stream, this really funny or interesting person's playing it, and they're like, this looks really cool. My wife has never plays games. She hardly plays anything. But all the people playing Animal Crossing and all the hype around it and the community behind it, she's like, damn, I want to try this game out. That was the first game she's ever been interested in. In like 7 years.
My wife was like playing Animal Crossing for like 6 hours a day, bro, catching fish and
Same
stuff.
with my wife.
I was like, what? I was like, now you understand. Now you understand.
It's funny because I'm like, you know, I'd be like, when the kids would go to bed and I'd be like, I'm sorry, honey, I feel like I should probably work and do some editing tonight. And I'm expecting like, oh, we were going to watch a show. You know, I was expecting a little pushback. She's like, okay, that's fine. Go, get out, get out.
See ya.
I come back up and she's got the Switch. She's just catching
So look at
fish
this
on her
bug
island.
I caught, bro. Are you serious?
Well, actually, Mod Sith just said in chat, he's like, it's like Among Us. Exactly! Among Us would be nothing without the community. Without the content creators playing the game, they went from like 2 people online to hundreds of thousands. They went from not even being able to keep the servers alive and planning on shutting them down to making $250 million in a month, 300 the next month. We're like, it's insanity, the value that this marketing has, and it's free. A lot of these content creators are buying the game like from you. People that are watching his videos aren't going to not buy the game because they're watching it. They're watching it because they're already invested, interested, looking for more info, want to buy it, already did buy it. You know, it's just,
and so
idiots.
it's like, what is Nintendo thinking? It's very bizarre because it's
the
like
question.
You could understand it if their games sucked and people were crapping on it. Like you could understand if Godfalls tries to pull this and it's like no one can make videos on Godfall anymore. It's because Godfall's getting roasted, right?
Trash, yeah.
So you could at least understand that perspective. But like, dude, everyone loves Animal Crossing. Everyone's hyping Animal Crossing. People love Smash Bros. People hype Smash Bros. Why would you go after these communities? It's weird. It's like, did a Nintendo exec go to one of these like tournaments and someone like bumped into him and he's like, I'm gonna get back at you. Like that's the only reason I could think of. It doesn't make any sense.
He was like, I could win one of these tournaments, and he got destroyed, and he's like, never again. Oh man,
but that's the real question. What's the motivator there? What's motivating that decision?
Bizarre. It truly doesn't make sense. Like you'd think someone would be like, sir, we're getting so much free advertising from this. We've fostered a community of hundreds of thousands of people. This is a disaster if you do this. And like, I don't know.
These companies are clueless. Like there's some people running these companies that are just
hold on. Someone needs to look up. Did Nintendo hire anyone from Twitch recently? That would actually explain a lot of this. If Nintendo hired some people from Twitch, that problem's, detective work done, boys. We've solved it.
Well, speaking of Twitch, though,
that's good.
Speaking of Twitch, with all we've been talking about the DMCA stuff that streamers have been dealing with through Twitch lately. Well, Cyberpunk announces that they're going to have a streamer mode on their game that's going to automatically mute any copyrighted music. So the streamer doesn't have to worry about it. They can stream the game stress-free. And it's sort of the polar opposite now of Nintendo. This is a company saying, oh man, we want influencers to eat this game up. We don't want them to stress about anything. We don't want them to be worried about. We don't want them to have a single reason not to play our game in front of their communities. We're going to go out of our way to make sure that we can enable a streamer mode that's going to make the game safe for them. No matter where they're streaming it, no matter what videos they're uploading, it's not going to get copyright claimed.
Well, apparently, built into the stream mode, there's also, I don't know if it's features you can turn on and off, but even nudity. You can actually put in streamer mode and there's like nudity changes. So there's some sex scenes. And what it'll do is it'll actually change the camera angle. So instead of showing maybe the girl or the guy's full body, they'll just show maybe an angle from the neck up. And you can still get the experience, but it's not going to be breaking the laws here of Twitch, because they're not good at enforcing anything, right? So one nipple slip for one creator is going to lead to a ban, and for another person, it won't. And so being able to just say, I'm playing it safe is incredible.
Yeah. But this proves our freaking point exactly. CD Projekt Red has realized that streamers playing their game is such an important factor in them selling their game that they do the work to enable the streamer mode so that people are more likely to play it. Like, doesn't that prove their point? Like, it reinforces how dumb Nintendo is being right now.
Right.
Actually, I just wanted to touch on this. Chris Lopez says it doesn't actually mute the music; it replaces it with DMCA free music. So
Exactly.
They've
But that's a
taken
lot
these
of work
scenes-
to enable.
Exactly, and the fact that they're like, okay, we have this song, and for our vision, our artistic vision of this game, this is the song we want to play. We want Black Betty to be playing. But we've also gone to the effort of finding another song that fits nicely into it. It's got that same artistic value, but it's not going to get you screwed by DMCA. That's amazing. Look at the effort there, right? You're
It's
having
also
to
great.
redo these cutscenes. You're going to have to redo these interactions. You're driving around Night City, and you got these beats playing, and it's like Monster Cat music or like Argo Fox. It's like, sweet, I'll take it. We'll take it.
And
It's
I
sad
gotta
that
say,
they have to do this, though.
well, it is. But at the same time, not just the copyright music stuff, but being able to turn off the nudity, stuff like that is actually really good for me because, A, my kids, it's 2020. They're home most of the time because we're not out with friends.
You know what, Ryan?
And they're going to come down here. They're going to come down here. Daddy, what's that? Oh, no. You know,
That's a
but on
big
top of
cyber
that-
dig.
But on top of that, I have branded my content as family-friendly content for years now. And sometimes I'm like, man, I don't know if I can justify playing that game on stream because I've told parents, hey, if you come by my stream with your kid, it's safe. You're not gonna come in here and be like, oh no, I can't. You know what I mean? I tell parents in my community all the time, if you want to have my stream up in your living room on the TV, you can do that. And I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that it's appropriate for anybody who's walking through that room. So this is actually really good news for me because this is a feature I will 100% take advantage of when I create content for this game.
No, it's honestly, I'd love for more companies to do it. It would be really helpful because even there's like that Conan the Barbarian type game or whatever the heck that was. There's nudity in that one that was flagging people, and some of the scary games. Like I was playing for a charity thing for the St. Jude charity thing. I played Outlast, and there's a point where there's like a bunch of naked guys in a room, and I'm like, can I have this on the screen? Like I don't even know if this is allowed. And it's just a quick thing. It's 5 seconds, but we know that 5 seconds can get you banned at this point. So I like that. It's progress. And this is a company that actually is with it, knows what the ecosystem is there for content creators. Now, do you want to jump in with companies that are not with it, aka Xbox and PlayStation?
Well, it's like, here's the interesting part.
Is it really? Yeah,
do we blame Xbox and PlayStation, or do we blame all these mega retailers, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, for not putting CAPTCHAs on, for not putting like some extra security in their purchasing thing? Like, basically, these next gen launches have been an utter disaster. More people have scalped consoles than actually are legitimately owning and playing consoles. Like, it is so depressing. If you want a PS5, it's almost impossible, but yet people are sitting out there with like 50 PS5s because they have bots that do it. Because again, I have to like do 5 tests to log on to RuneScape to prove I'm a human being, right? It's like, select the cars, and then it shows you a car, the grainy image of maybe a car from like 100 meters away. You're like, does this count? I don't know. But to log on to RuneScape, but to buy a $600, $500 PlayStation, it's like, bro, just enter your credit card and click something. You're good to go, baby. Like,
fill in your address later. Like, don't even just click the button. It's yours. It's the first click gets it. Like,
maybe they just don't even care, dude. Maybe they're just like, hey,
You know?
They don't. No, that is the issue right here. Is these retailers, they do not care. They're gonna sell the product. They're gonna push the product. They're gonna make their money. They don't give a hoot about it. If they did, they would have said something by now. They would have said, "Hey, we understand that we kind of messed up with this. We're sorry about that. We're gonna do everything we can to introduce these changes as soon as possible." The only company that has done that so far is Walmart. There was no apology, as far as we know. There was no, we understand this was a really big inconvenience. All they did was say, tonight CAPTCHA is going to be enabled. Starting, that is today, like as of right now that we're recording this.
Breaking news also, they tweeted out, they're like, Walmart Canada was like, oh, by the way, it's just the US, not Canada. Apparently,
oh no.
Can't possibly get any into Canada, dude. We're a disaster.
So I just don't think they care. The only people that did it well, was, as far as I know, PlayStation Direct. Like you could wait in the queue, which was not a perfect system, by the way, but you at least did have to sign into your PSN account. You had to authenticate with CAPTCHA. So at least they did what they could to guarantee that you had a shot. You know what I mean? But yeah, they really fumbled. And I do think it is unfair just to solely blame the retailers, because you got to think that PlayStation and Xbox, they've got to have enough foresight to know that that's going to happen. And they've got to have some amount of control when it comes to who they send their products to have an agreement ahead of time with Walmart. If you want to sell our product, you want to put our product on your shelves, these are the things that we need you to do. We want you to make sure that there's authentication involved, or at least, you know what I mean? I feel like they could have been a part of that conversation ahead of time. I don't know how that works.
Yeah, but we've been talking about forever how it's probably like, it's like that forced exclusivity where they don't make that many PlayStations because they want everyone to be like, if they see one in the store, they'll buy it 100%, right? Because I feel like it's the only chance they'll get.
Yeah, it's like just enough stock. It's just enough stock that some people are annoyed, and then when you do get it, it's like, I gotta tweet about this because I actually have one in my hands. You know, it's like that rare thing. And you know, because we've talked about the pricing, we talked about the value, we've talked about how good they are. So these are some of the most sought after consoles. So demand is already high.
There is actually another way to get your hands on the next gen console. All you gotta do is be a streamer and don't be one of us three. And then you'll get a console.
That's true. Actually, do you want to know something that's sick though? Like, I don't want to get fully into it because I haven't researched everything, but apparently there's a bunch of drama with that as well. There's actually a bunch of content creators that have been getting hate, specifically black content creators. Have you guys heard about that on Twitter?
There's been one example.
Yeah, there's been some like crazy. Honestly, it's racist. It's racist is what it is. And there was a content creator. I'd have to go look, and that's why I don't want to dive into the nitty gritty because I don't know all the details. But there was actually a content creator that he had made a full on video talking about some content creators and saying like, oh, how did they get them and stuff. And then those content creators were attacked by racist people, and he got his video taken down, and he made a big video complaining. I'm sorry I don't have the details, but I just kind of jogged my memory. But apparently there's like a whole big thing going on where content creators are getting absolutely harassed. Why do you have it? You don't have enough viewership, or why do you have it? And then it has escalated, unfortunately, into some very dark territory with racists.
Yeah,
like it's gross.
From what I've seen, it's people who are very upset.
Mike Jones put it just now. Yeah, that's the one. The Griffin Gaming was the guy who said it. Yeah, that's the guy.
From what I've seen right now, it's people who are very, very upset that they can't get consoles. And we've just went over, it is extremely frustrating. And the bots are snatching up every console and they can't get one. And then they look at these other, often quite smaller content creators who've gotten PlayStations, and they just latch onto something, in this case, their race, to like attack. And it's just very unfortunate because like, here's the crappy part. It's like, yeah, it's understandable that people are upset that they can't get consoles, and they look at this guy with like, 100 average viewers or less, and you're like, dude, how is this guy getting a console, right? Like, this is a console that could have been on the market for me, right? But then you got to step back and be like, wait a sec. If you were in this person's shoes and you're streaming, you would say yes. If Sony reached out to you and said, do you want a PlayStation 5?
Yeah, it's not their fault. Yeah.
We'd love for you to do an unboxing video. everyone would say yes. No one would be like, oh no, I think that belongs in the wild and someone who deserves it. Everyone would be like, yes. So to get mad at someone for doing something that you would have 100% done is
Yeah.
so scummy. It's like, dude, just be happy for this person. They're obviously grinding and trying to like, stream and entertain you. And they're making a video showcasing what comes in a PlayStation. It's like an informative thing. It's like, you're likely not going to get that console. It's not like this console was going to go to you, but it went to the streamer instead. Like, that's not how it works. So it's just like a crappy thing to attack. Don't be mad at the streamers. It's not their fault. Be mad at Sony and Walmart and all these people making buying consoles an absolute nightmare, right? It's not these we're talking about like literally the amount of consoles you can count on your hand going to these small streamers. This is not the issue. The issue is the scalpers having 50 at their homes, right? Like
they've got more at their house.
I've literally seen pictures of people who have like dozens of PlayStations piled up in their house. Yeah. And it's like, this guy has more consoles than all of these like small, like diverse streamers that you're attacking because of their race, or you're attacking because of it doesn't matter. They're just finding something to go and attack. But it's like, yeah, literally scalpers have taken way more of your consoles than these tiny streamers. Like, the people you should be attacking are not these streamers. Like, it's so dumb.
Yeah. And even to piggyback on that just a little bit is like, micro influencers are in most cases dollar for dollar better than big content creators. If you go look at Nadeshot and it's like, all right, we're going to give him a PlayStation, he probably would then convert it to less PlayStations, per dollar spent than a lot of smaller content creators. The other thing too is just like demographics, right? Some Animal Crossing streamer, like maybe like a young female, like Latin descent female Animal Crossing streamer, her audience demographic is literally the exact inverse of mine. Probably the age is going to be different, the where they live is going to be different, nationalities are going to be different, the way they influence is going to be different. An NBA 2K content creator does not have the same audience as me, and so it's like, there's so many white young dudes on YouTube, and it's like, you can throw PlayStation any of them, and the majority of those people in that demographic is going to see it. You need to diversify and give it out. So it's just basic marketing, and it's like people are just being so evil out there. Like, bro, just make more than 50 PlayStations, and we're good.
Yeah.
So
it is very unfortunate because like we said, I don't want to say it's understandable that people are upset, because it is really like not understandable that, like, if you see like the example I saw was like a black female streamer who got a PlayStation. She just like did a cool job showcasing it a bit, and then she like broke down because she was so happy because she was getting like support, but her video on YouTube was getting dislike bombed from all these people. And it's, again, she's getting some racist comments, but the vast majority of people were just upset that she has a PlayStation and they don't, right? And that's it. That's really all it is. It's just like, I didn't get it, and I've been trying to get it day in and day out, and this person got it. So it's just jealousy and being mad. But again, it's not this poor person's fault, and she did like some quality content and learned a little bit about the PlayStation. But it is kind of unfortunate that PlayStation and like Sony and Microsoft and all these stupid retailers have made this experience so negative for so many people that this is where we've gotten to. Like, I'm not trying to excuse the behavior by any means, but it's like, why cannot any of you multi-billion-dollar companies have the 3 brain cells required to enable CAPTCHA? It's like, you told me today, True Vanguard, that Walmart was just finally enabling like verification to make sure the bots won't get it. Like, how has it gotten to this point where like that's noteworthy? Like, that should be the standard,
right?
So it's like they've literally made it the most insufferable, annoying, anger-inducing experience for these console launches that should be a positive thing, and now everyone's like just pissed at everyone else because it's just like infuriating to try to get one of these. Like, why?
It's supposed to be, because we've talked about this. Great value, Xbox Game Pass. It's supposed to be a Christmas gift. It's supposed to be this thing. How many kids are like, I want an Xbox, and they're not going to get one just because they don't, like, you can't get them. And I think that's the sad thing. It's supposed to be, as you said, a positive thing, and it's just flipped on its head, unfortunately.
Yeah, at
So
this
in the-
point, all we can do is just hope that they learn from this experience. They take in the feedback, and several years from now, when we have another release for next generation consoles, hopefully it just looks dramatically different. And that's the bottom line.
Some of the chat's like, oh, typical capitalism. It's like, I'm not sure the USSR was pumping out consoles. My guy. That's some bad news for you. Also, like, hopefully the capitalist system will work in the sense of now, like you said, Walmart's actually going out of the way to say, we have enabled CAPTCHA. They just got a bunch of goodwill. People are now interested in tonight's drop of PlayStations just because of that factor. So because of their idiocy, any company now who enables that stuff, who tries to do anything to prevent scalping, is now going to gain
ramp up
goodwill
activity
and ramp up sales. Like if two things go on sale, if Target and Walmart go on sale at the same time, and Walmart says we have CAPTCHA enabled, Walmart's getting all the attention by far. And now we're in like a brave new world where like just doing those things they should have done in the first place is now seen as great things.
Yeah.
So
like the most basic stuff.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to touch on there?
No, I was just saying we should probably start wrapping this up.
Yep. I gotta go to the airport soon. I gotta go pick up my wife. And but we got a couple minutes if we want to do a little chat with the community here.
Do a quick thing. We're gonna enable members only. So if you are a member, you can chat with us. You can ask us questions. If you're not, stick around. You're by all means. We're gonna have a saucy little
last week got
conversation
saucy.
here. Yeah, it was very saucy. So yeah, Tash is going to post in the chat right now how to become a member. If you want to become a member, support us. It's basically how we pay for everything, editor and all of that stuff. Also, it's going to the Lamborghini fund. That's just right. It's just some fun we're doing on the side. Dude.
We're saving as a team.
Thank you.
Right.
That's right. It'll be a group Lamborghini.
Yeah, well, basically, it'll go to like TV's house, and then he'll have to drive it up and like pick me up, and then we're driving to Tash and picking him up. So we're just gonna go do whatever, man.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So,
thanks so much for watching. I do genuinely appreciate each and every viewer. Feel free to go ahead and lay down some questions in the chat for us, and this is sort of our opportunity to interact with you guys directly. But I think Mike's gonna call some stuff out first.
Yeah. So we got a $50 donation from Rodeo. Thank you so much. Eric Nightcell with a $5 donation. Kackis' wife with a new membership. Finally, some support for the channel, bro.
So basically, Kackis paid for his wife to become a new member, essentially.
Pretty much.
Basically funding my own Ferrari.
Matthew Fauner with a new Real Gamer membership. Matt Greenfield with a membership as well. Fantastic. Thank you so much. We got a question already right here. What was your worst or most regrettable sponsorship you guys have had? If you guys are allowed to say. Well, Kackis has never done a sponsorship ever.
I actually have.
You have a story?
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's hear it.
Dude, it was. I don't know if I should say it. Because okay. I don't know, bro. It's you shouldn't talk because like.
You don't want to burn bridges.
Yeah, I'll say this was a company that I've still worked with, and it's like one part, like them doing one thing was a really annoying and negative experience, but like a whole nother division of this company has done stuff that's super easy and smooth and no problems at all.
Right.
So that's the thing. Like you can deal with like different parts of the same company and have like a negative experience and then have a positive experience with like a different branch of it. It's pretty crazy. I think, you know what I'll say though? And I think you guys can echo that. The most annoying thing is like, I'm very picky. So I usually don't have, when I pick someone, I have a positive experience because I know I'm going to have a positive experience because I only pick sponsorships that I know are good and I know are legit and I know I'm going to have a positive experience with. So the most annoying thing for me is getting like, hey, do you want to do an entire, 20-minute video on our mobile game? We'll pay you $300. It's like, no, like, what do you mean, dude? Well, not even. It's like 300 cents, $300 in pesos or something like that. It's like they lowball you so much, dude.
They're like retweet your video.
That's right.
I've had like offers are like make an entire video on our game and we'll give you the game for free. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, And maybe people watching might be like, oh, these guys are so like, dude, I'd make a freaking video for $300 or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's like a lot of work goes into making a video, especially when you like are
Yeah.
have a brand new game. You have to play it through, figure it out, figure out stuff to make content on it, right? And then you're taking time. If I'm playing this new game, I'm not playing Destiny. I'm not grinding Destiny, and I'm losing money compared to what I would be getting in terms of views and stuff putting out Destiny videos. So that's something like it's just so annoying being lowballed so much by these mobile game creators usually, or like weird apps and stuff.
Yeah, I've got a story. I had I won't say who because same situation. I don't want to burn bridges, and I have had some positive experiences with this company, but I did have an experience one time where I had a company reach out to me about a game that I don't typically cover. It's on Destiny, and their marketing team said, "Hey, we would like to pay you, but what we'll do is we'll pay you based on how well your video performs." Now, most of the
Oh, I know this story.
deals, most of the deals that I take aren't like that. It's like, here's what we will pay you to make the video. It performs how it does, right? This time they're like, we'll pay you based on how it performs. And they sold it like this. They're like, the sky's the limit. I mean, if you blow up, this video blows up, you're going to make bank, baby. Like you're going to be rolling it in. And that's how they sold it to me. So I went out of my way. They sent over the contract, right? So your typical, here's 30 pages, but and they basically, yeah, it's really straightforward. It's real simple. Send out a huge contract, whatever. You're like, okay, sure, sign it. And I made this video, and I made a really quality video, very well scripted, and examples of everything I was talking about during every minute of that video is on screen in game. I worked my butt off on that video because I was actually going on vacation, and my plan was, hey, this video is going to be accumulating views while I'm not home making money, and that'll sort of offset it, right? So that was the whole plan. So as I'm on vacation, I'm watching this video and following its success. And this video absolutely blew up. Hundreds of thousands of views, tons of interaction. And I'm sitting here doing the math based on the rate that they told me per 1,000 views that I would be making. And I was like, holy crap. When I get back from vacation, I'm literally going to have an $18,000 check waiting for me. And I was so pumped, man. I was telling my wife, I was like, look at this. Every day we're on vacation, I'm like, look at how this is doing. Like, it's popping up. Well, I get home, I reach out to them, and they're like, yeah, so we'll go ahead and we'll get you that check for, 2,500 sent on over. And I was like, wait, timeout.
Yeah, wait, what?
I was like, timeout. Did you see how that video performed? I sent them the links, the metrics, the statistics on the video and everything. They're like, yeah, actually in that contract, you'll see under Article 3B, very fine. Long story short, very, very, very fine print that says we have a very small budget for this campaign, and when you exceed that budget, you will no longer make anything past it. Which went 100% contradictory to what they told me with the sky is the limit. How well you perform with this video dictates how much you're going to make on this. It was never part of the conversation up front, and I was livid. I literally told him, send me the check and don't ever email me again. I won't talk. I was livid about it. So,
No, dude, this is a big company. You guys probably play their games, and
it was not some small
dude.
mobile game. No.
Yeah. This is they got some millions, dude.
Yeah, it's
Oh my
unfortunate.
God.
Take advantage of us. Take advantage of people, but
there's
we're lucky
another-
to be in the position we're in. Like, we don't want to come off as ungrateful, but it's like it's also a business, and so like if you're entering a contract, if you're entering an agreement, you want them to follow through, right? You don't want them to be sus.
Now, some person in the chat called Sheen or something, I don't know, says when will you guys be taking all wives on a group vacation? Oh man, we talked about it. We got to do like an all-inclusive.
We would like to.
When we won't die, like
yeah, exactly.
When we're allowed.
When we're allowed out of the country, true.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's gonna be a while. Even Canada, like we just locked down again. Like,
yeah,
are you locked down in Calgary? Like full on lockdown?
I don't know. It's hard to say. It's like kind of locked in. No more like you can go to a restaurant, but you can't have like an in-house gathering.
Right.
So it's very.
But then the restaurants are like 25% capacity or something, or like max of 5 people. So it's
So
I don't know.
who knows?
We just got to probably wait. But I want to do like a content creator all exclusive or all inclusive, I should say, resort.
Dude, that'd be so fun.
We can just eat, drink on the
Vlog
beach.
the whole thing.
Oh man, it'd be so nice. Just
Dude,
hang out in the
just
pool.
be content factory, dude. There'd be so much
That's
content
right.
coming out of there. It'd be crazy, dude. It'd be wild.
Matt Greenfield, to answer your question, this is a distillery called Eastern Kill, and this is their Michigan straight rye whiskey. They're a very young distillery, but they're local to me, and I really like their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
For the millionth time, any breweries or distilleries, we're looking for sponsorships. Please, dude. We just want free beer. That's really all we want. All right. Someone asked, like, when will you three stream a raid together and stuff? I would like to see stuff like that. And also asked me if I would do a day one raid. I don't like streaming that much. It's just like, I don't like it, so I'm not going to. But I'm sure we'll end up doing a raid together at some point, especially since it's so farmable now.
Oh yeah.
It's like so easy to be like, yo, Tash, you want to do a raid? Let's go. And you're like, okay, because like worst case scenario, you get spoils, you get guaranteed at least one weapon you want.
This is the only raid I've wanted to repeat in years.
Right.
So
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna be more keen now than I've been in a long time. Thornography with a real gamer membership and shawarma dude. Oh man, thank you, appreciate it. I gotta get going, guys. I gotta shut this down. This is awesome. Thank you so much. We are the Real Gamer Hour, the RGH podcast. We stream every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So you got to be here because you got to watch. We also have the podcast in audio form on our Anchor and Spotify. Link should be in the description to that if you guys are interested in finding that, as well as on Twitter. But that's pretty much it. I'm Mtashed.
I'm KackisHD.
I'm True Vanguard.
We are the RGH podcast, and we will see you soon. Bye-bye.